Hey there from Central Virginia. Today I did a thing, and actually the last couple of days. It's the middle of a drought. You can see my grass behind me is so dry. It looks like August here, but it's only the beginning of July. Um, and that, is, of course, is concerning. And what you usually don't do in the middle of the drought is plant more plants. Well, I planted more plants. And here's why. Shout out to Saunders Brothers in Nelson County, Virginia, just over the bridge and through the ridge away from me. And they had their native plants on sale 50% off. Now, Saunders Brothers plants are always really nice, and each week in the summer they have a featured plant, but rarely do they have a 50% sale. It's usually 20 to 25% off. So I grabbed a bunch of milkweed and butterfly weed. And particularly milkweed I'm interested in because, as you know, I've been fighting lanternflies, and I read that lanternflies love milkweed. But guess what? It has a substance in it that kills them. So I've decided my new mission in life is going to be to plant as much milkweed as I possibly can. And I'm just starting it, and I'm going to do it in waves. And hopefully, maybe at least around my garden areas, I can help to beat back this lanternfly infestation that has just invaded us here in Central Virginia and much of the East Coast and Mid-Atlantic at this point. Bad things. So let me show you what I did. You also may know that I had a death in my family this year. This spring, my father-in-law got very sick and then passed away in May, and we've just been sort of dealing with the aftermath of that. And frankly, my lower garden is in decent shape, but behind my house, behind my kitchen garden in that area, it's just gone to a bad place really fast. I finally picked the garlic yesterday, and I replanted this area with flowers, and I've mulched it down really well, and I have watered it. I'm really going to stay on top of the watering as much as I can during this drought. But let me show you what I did in that little lasagna garden that I made back in November, and I said I was going to put perennials in. I never got around to it until yesterday. And here's the lasagna bed that I made. And by the way, that it says is the random tomato that popped up in the likely place of underneath the walnut tree. Um, and this is the patch. This is the patch that I created as a lasagna garden back in November. I will put a link to that video here. And you can see that I planted 3 milkweeds. These are common milkweeds, and 3 butterfly plants. So those should do really well. The reason that I planted them here is because it's a lasagna bed, first of all, which means it's heavily mulched. And I was hoping that the ground would be diggable, because in this drought, this red clay is like a brick. So I was happy in that when I pulled the top layer mulch away and started digging down, I could get down a foot with no problem. So that lasagna bed that had been 2 feet high when I created it was really down to about this high when I started to dig. But the moisture that was retained underneath, even though I haven't been watering it and it's been super dry, I could actually dig that earth. So that was great. So I'm just going to keep these plants super, super, super mulched. Milkweed apparently does, and butterfly weed doesn't love to have too much water. So I'm just going to water it, maybe I'm going to water it to get them established, and then just kind of monitor it and water it in the weeks that it doesn't rain, giving them about an inch a week, but then just sort of leaving them alone. So I'm really excited to get these plants in here. And I also went back after I planted these, and I bought more because I figured out a way that I could put them around my garden, my lower garden as well. You'll recognize this as my lower garden. I'm on the north side right now, and I have my arch here that has the hops growing up the one side and the passion flower vine growing up the other side. And one of the bad things about lanternflies is they love hops. And indeed, I've been pulling them off of this hops plant constantly. So I decided I would put milkweed right here and get a good patch of it growing right on this edge here around. So I had hay bales stacked up here. They had mulched down beautifully. And when I removed the hay bales, I had great composted soil, and it was moist, and I could dig with absolutely no problem. Just proof positive that even in a severe drought, like we're having here, a no-dig system with good mulch really helps retain water and moisture in the soil, which of course gives good energy to soil life. So I've got a common milkweed right here, and then 2 swamp milkweeds there. I've not grown these before ever, and so I'm really happy to have them here. Don't you think it'll look nice at the bottom of my rose alley? And don't you think those lanternflies that are up on my hops because they love milkweed will just say, "Oh, look, milkweed," and I'll go, "Yes, come along, my pretty." You can see I'm getting a little diabolical about these lanternflies. I've been reading a whole lot about lanternflies. Penn State University has a a lot of literature on it because they showed up in Pennsylvania first. The Virginia Tech resources also have some good things as well. And unfortunately, one of the things that they are devastating are native grapes. They also love the tree of heaven, and I'm surrounded by the tree of, I don't call it the tree of heaven, I call it the tree of a very hot, bad place. And they also like walnut trees. Well, guess what is back here? Walnut trees, tree of heaven, and a whole lot of native grapevines. So they have been in here just infesting like crazy. I have been spraying with neem oil and just killing as many when they come into my garden as possible, which is all the time. And let me show you my final patch of native plants that I put in. We are now on the west side of my garden, and this is where I have several external beds. This one I was going to be transitioning over to be more of a flower garden and and hopefully perennials. Well, something kept eating my gladiola. That's not good. I have a couple things, zinnias and things like that, and the dianthus that are coming up there. And I put in 4 native plants. I have a butterfly weed here. I have an echinacea here, coneflower. I have a milkweed here. And this pretty thing, unusual, is called a lacy echinacea, a lacy coneflower. And it has more of an open flower. I just loved the picture of it. I'd never seen anything like it before, and they only had 1 left there. So, of course, I bought it. You want to see what those lanternflies look like and what they do? I'll show you. You see them in there on the stem of this borage? I'll be coming in with my soapy water and inviting them to go for a nice bubble bath. One of the projects that I'd like to get going is creating more spaces with native plants, particularly with milkweed, so that we can help bring back the butterflies and the monarchs in particular, and especially since now I know that they help kill my not favorite new pest, lanternflies. So, yeah. Thank you, Saunders Brothers, for running this special this week. And I'm very excited to have bought up a whole bunch of your plants. So with that, I will leave you, and I will let you know how this native plant milkweed project and butterfly plant project and etc. continues. But I wanted to share just some of my thoughts and also a little bit of what I've learned about the lanternflies and milkweed in particular. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good evening. Take care. Bye.